One of my favorite quotes is that if exercise were a drug, it would be the most widely prescribed drug of all time. And I think that's true.
In terms of learnings and awards, you were nominated for an NHS Bart's Hero Award.
I won the NHS
you
Bart's
won it?
Hero Award, yeah. That was more for my fundraising and charity work that I did with the marathon and supporting their social media content and things. But yeah, that was a really nice award to win.
So, future of healthcare,
yeah,
and the NHS particularly. I promise not to ask anything controversial, but you can be controversial or not with it. I mean, the NHS is something that I guess is very, very polarising in terms of people's opinions, and probably like most opinions, they're opinions given by people who haven't really got a clue what they're talking about anyway. I mean, tell me the good and bad. What you would be doing if you were combining your desire to be an entrepreneur and a doctor in one to fix a system that may be broken, and what can the future hold for us?
Yeah, I think the NHS is a really topical one at the moment. I think it's designed in a way that it's a wonderful scheme. It is one of the best healthcare systems in the world, but it isn't designed on today's population. We have an aging population, so we're all living longer, which means we have more opportunity to develop disease. We all have much worse lifestyle habits. We smoke more, we drink more, we sleep less, we eat worse food, we're more inactive. And so the NHS will need to adapt to treat and serve the population, which is changing. And I think one of the things that's going to be difficult is leaving behind certain things that are now outdated to be able to serve future populations. And I don't know what that looks like. One thing I would do if I had any say in how money was spent and things is focusing more on prevention. I work so much in cancer and a lot of research into treating cancer, but a lot of my personal interests lie in prevention of disease, which I hope's come across with all of the lifestyle things I've talked about. And the NHS budget, only 5% of the NHS budget is spent on disease prevention. And I think if we can prevent the diseases occurring, cancer, high blood pressure, obesity, all of these, it's much more cost effective than treating it. And so I hope that with a shift, and I think there will be a shift over the next kind of 5 to 10 years, I hope more focus is on prevention, and realising that medicine isn't just prescribing a pill to treat a disease. It should be looking at the whole lifestyle factor. One of my favourite quotes is that if exercise were a drug, it would be the most widely prescribed drug of all time. And I think that's true. But when you get a 10-minute slot with your GP and you come in with a complex problem, it's very difficult to talk about all of these complex issues rather than just prescribe you a tablet.
And you talk about prevention, and this is maybe more of an American say theory, or maybe it's a conspiracy theory, but you certainly hear about it more in the US than you do in the UK. But I mean, people often talk about the fact that medicine doesn't want you to prevent because ultimately it's not really the healthcare industry, it's the pharmaceutical industry, and the pharmaceutical companies want you to stay ill because that's how they're going to keep making money. And
see, I find this really hard to listen to because I work very closely with pharmaceutical companies. So I work in clinical trials. So they will develop a new cancer drug and we will run the trial from our centre, and as will, 50 other sites globally. And they are all racing to develop new drugs to treat these cancers. So it is in their interest to cure disease, because if you're the drug company that produces a more effective cancer drug that makes people live longer, that becomes the drug that's given. So actually, we need the financial incentive of the pharmaceutical companies to develop these drugs in the first place. And so I don't agree with the stance that they never want you to get better.
But I guess what people are saying, because yes, obviously, if you've got something that needs fixing, of course, it makes sense to have the best solution to that problem. But I guess what they're saying is, if the real answer was to run more and eat more grapes in the first place, and therefore not get that would cure
But that doesn't need a pharmaceutical industry.
No, exactly.
That needs a government that is investing in public health measures to better education and better support for doing those preventative things.
But I guess the argument is that the pharmaceutical companies are effectively lobbying the government to keep them away from prevention and more onto cure.
I'm not sure how much truth is in that statement. I think pharmaceutical industries are businesses. They are looking at opportunities to make money. And if that is in treating a disease that exists, so be it. I'm not sure what happens behind the scenes, deals that are made. I don't think you really know whatever goes on with the government. But I think that's kind of shifting the blame. I think there needs to be a massive restructure and review of budgets and priorities. And sometimes I think even with budgeting, we get so bogged down in, again, the tiny little details of things, and aren't focusing on the fundamentals. Every time, we get a new generation of children, you have an opportunity to change the health of that generation. If you think about smoking, I don't really know anyone of my age that smokes now, whereas I'm sure 20 years ago.
They all vape instead.
They all vape instead, that is true. But everyone smoked. And so change just takes time. And unfortunately, just like we said earlier, people like quick fixes. But it's going to need a real shake-up, I think, to be able to support the very ever-growing needs of our population.